I was facing down on the ground with him on top of me, and he started stabbing me in various parts of my body. I'd been stabbed 23 times and survived. Now, I want to share my story. My mother introduced me to the church when I was 4 years old. However, as time passed and I grew older, I met my former husband, the father of my son. We were both part of the church, enjoyed attending the services and participating in the meetings, but neither of us had the Holy Spirit. Over time, I stopped praying, grew cold in my faith, and stopped seeking God. This affected our relationship. My husband also grew cold in the faith and began associating with the wrong people. He started drinking and bringing alcohol into our home. Seeing this, I had no strength to resist. So I joined him in drinking and got involved with the wrong crowd as well. We distanced ourselves from God's presence. As a result, we began fighting. He started drinking daily, and there was constant verbal and physical aggression between us. Infidelity also became an issue. This turned our marriage into a nightmare. After trying to fix it for some time, using only our own strength, it became impossible, and our marriage eventually broke down. We got divorced. After the divorce, I met someone else and entered a new relationship. Since he was from the world and I was already far from God, we went to parties and drank together. At first, the relationship was great, as they all are in the beginning. But as time passed and we began living together, arguments started, just as they had in my previous relationship. Again, there was verbal and physical abuse. We had frequent fights, as he was quick to anger. Everything became a trigger for his outburst. Eventually, I gave up on that relationship and we separated. At first, it seemed he accepted the separation well. He moved on with his life and I with mine. We had no further contact. Then, 18 months later, while I was working in my beauty salon on a Friday, he shattered the glass door and came in, holding 4 knives, taped together with electrical tape, with the blades facing downwards. The first stab wound I received was to my neck. I fell face down on the floor. The salon space was very small, and he was a large, heavy man. He pinned me down and began stabbing me in several parts of my body. Lying there, I remember thinking, I am going to die. I can't get up from here. But then I heard God's voice saying, "Get up and run." God held him back, enabling me to escape because there was no way I could have moved otherwise. I ran outside, but when I reached the pavement, he caught up with me and stabbed me in the back. Once again, I fell face down. But I got up and ran across the street, heading up a hill with my body covered in stab wounds. A man on a motorbike saw me and stopped, urging me to get on the bike. However, it was too high and I couldn't manage it. The rider said, "If you don't get on, he will catch you and kill you because he is right behind you." God gave me the strength and I climbed onto the bike.
I placed her on God's altar because I refused to accept that she would stray from Him. The promise was that my household would serve the Lord. When I received the news, I prayed to God, saying, "My God, let this be the moment of her rescue." I spoke with absolute determination. The Holy Spirit comforted me so much that I wasn't shaken by the situation. Everyone was amazed. How can you be so calm after what's happened to your daughter? They asked. I replied, it's because my daughter has been away, but she will return. This is her rescue.
On the way to the hospital, which wasn't far, I began struggling to breathe. I was wheezing and couldn't feel the air entering my lungs. I closed my eyes and saw my life flash before me like a film. I remembered everything I'd learned in the church and thought of God. I realized that my salvation was not assured. So I began surrendering my life to Jesus and asked for his forgiveness. I heard God say, "You are not going to die." This filled me with such certainty that no matter what happened, I knew I wouldn't die. The man on the motorbike took me to a nearby hospital. Miraculously, I didn't need any surgery, as none of my internal organs were damaged. The doctors only needed to stitch my wounds. After the anesthesia wore off, one of the doctors said, "You were stabbed 23 times. You are alive because God allowed it." After my recovery, I told myself, now I want to receive the Holy Spirit for real. I never want to return to the world. I want to be guided by God and not make any more mistakes, as this is about my salvation. I came close to hell, and I knew that if I had died as I was, I would have gone there. God gave me a second chance, and I didn't want to waste it. I truly desired to receive the Holy Spirit. It was during a Wednesday service, on the second day of the fast of Daniel. I was seeking God, but nothing seemed to happen. So, from the bottom of my heart, I said to him, "Lord, I have done everything you asked. I have left everything behind, including the relationship you told me to give up. Now I want to receive your Holy Spirit as you promised." In that moment, I received him. I felt my emptiness being filled and experienced such a relief and peace. For the first time, I could say, now I have the Holy Spirit. Nothing would take me away from God's presence. Even though the service ended, I didn't want it to. I wanted to continue. At the same time, I felt immense joy. I wanted to tell everyone about Jesus. I now leave the Universal Church newspaper in my salon and speak to every client about Jesus, sharing my testimony. What the devil intended to use for death and tragedy has been transformed into a blessing. Thanks to what happened, I returned to God, and today I am a new person. Today I am certain of my salvation, thanks to God. I no longer suffer from anguish or feel empty. Now I truly have peace. I don't need shopping centers, parties, or anything else. I am happy because God, the Holy Spirit, gives me happiness. Whatever I can do to serve God and save souls for Jesus, I am ready to do. I wasn't traumatized and didn't need medication. The hospital referred me to a psychiatrist. But I didn't go because my true therapist was Jesus. The Holy Spirit himself cared for me. I still work in the same salon where the attempted murder took place. I tell my clients my story, and they often can't believe it. The way you tell it, it doesn't seem like it happened to you, they say. Thanks to my testimony, many of my clients now attend church with me. Every Sunday, I bring at least one person along. My mother never gave up on me. Her years of vows, prayers, and fastings were not in vain.
My daughter is now a completely different person. She's a new creation. I see her seeking God with great zeal. She's patient with her son and no longer loses her temper. She's a calm mother. Our home is now a place of peace. We go to church together, to the house of the Lord. Isn't that wonderful? God has rewarded my perseverance. He honored my faith by bringing my daughter back into his arms. Today she is like a tree of life, bearing good fruit and living as a woman of God.